were saying.
Oh, okay. No, nothing important. We haven't started the lesson, so I'm
Oh,
going to
okay.
start it exactly at well, it's 1:27 my time, so it should be 4:27. The 27 stays the same, your time. So my question to everyone was, do you have any questions about this class so far? No.
No.
No. All right. So without further ado, I will start a little early, but that's okay. This should be this one and share. And once again, I'm going to ask the same question I asked before. Do you see the week 2 instructor session? It should be blue and gray and say by Professor H. Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. All right. So that way we won't end up like last week where everyone's going, what is she talking about? I don't understand. We got a different, whatever. Anyway, so for the week 2 forum, all right, so that's about time management and writing. And so what time management tips do you have for other students? Which of these time management tips do you follow and why? So here are some time management tips. Which one of these do you use in order to save time to find time for writing? Jasmine, which one of these do you use? Which one's the most important for you to use in order to find time for school?
You said which one of the?
Yeah, these are which time management tip here do you find the most important and essential in order for you to find time for writing?
So I would have to go with know how you're spending your time and also learn when to say no.
Learn when to say no. How do you say no to something? Because for me, it's very difficult for me to say no to someone. When someone tells me some task, I'm always like, okay, I'll do it. So how do you find a way to say no, especially at work?
Just say no.
Okay, you guys have no trouble saying no, huh? All right. And Chantal, which one do you find the most interesting to make time for writing?
Um, I don't know. I probably would have to say set reasonable time limits, maybe,
Set reasonable time limits.
or no, prioritize.
Prioritize. You do your most important tasks first. What about you, Tamisha? Which one of these time management tasks tips do you use the most that you would advise other students to keep you on time for all your tasks and writing and stuff?
Probably know how I spend my time.
Yeah, I was telling my other students last week how I had a student, well, actually I had one of the assignments at my other school is that students had to write out their schedule hour after hour after hour and then turn that into the teacher. Because part of that class was to teach students how to, have a good schedule for studying. And I told the class that I had one student who hour by hour for 8 hours would watch television and then would say at the very end, but I don't have any time for homework. Well, of course, because he was watching 8 hours of television. Everybody in the forum, everyone just thought they thought he was joking. At first they thought he was joking, but he really was serious. People thought that no way would someone be that, well, anyway. So I do have students who are like 17, at the younger, very young. So that's why he did that. I could hear his mother in the background going, "You do what? You told the teacher you spent 8 hours watching TV? Well, I'm taking your TV away." I heard the mother in the background saying that, and after that, the student, stuck to a daily schedule. That was really funny. It's kind of like we were doing Zoom, and I asked that student this question, and then in the background, that's when the mother said that. All right, so for your week 2, after you do week 2 forum, you're going to be writing a week 2 assignment outline. And so you're going to be writing a narrative essay. What is a narrative essay? A narrative essay is based on your life. And so you tell a story from your life that teaches a life lesson. Or you write you make a claim. So there are two ways to write your narrative essay. Either you write a story with a moral, story with a moral, or you make a claim and back it up with stories from your life. So those are the two ways, but in both cases, you have to have a thesis statement, which is the last sentence of your first paragraph. And so the example I'm giving is the second one. Make a claim and back up your claim with stories from your life. So that's number 2. I gave an example of that. I became a nurse, teacher, dental hygienist, whatever, because reason 1, reason 2, reason 3. So if you can't think of a topic or you get stuck, that's the default topic. Now, if you have other stories, like the most embarrassing story of my life, so that the moral of the story is always check to make sure you're wearing your belt. So that way when you go exercising, your pants won't fall down and the girl you're trying to go get a date with ain't gonna laugh at you. Okay, that's a true story. Yes, some guy actually, he forgot to put his belt on, and whatever he had on just gradually fell down in his pants. So that's number 1, story with a moral. Okay, so the moral is remember to wear your belt around your pants. Remember to look at yourself, and that's that sort of thing. But even if you write a story with a moral, which is similar to a fairy tale, similar to a fable, you still have to put the moral of the story as the last sentence of the first paragraph. Okay, in other words, the main idea of why you're writing the story, what life lesson you want to, I learned from this experience never to be afraid of water, or I learned from this experience to always bring my belt buckle, or whatever. But that always is the thesis statement, and then the thesis statement is always the last sentence of the first paragraph. So your introduction will have a hook, 5 background sentences, and then the thesis statement, or your moral. Then your body paragraphs will then tell the story and or the reasons for the claim and or the story itself. So if you're going to go for number 1, story with a moral, then you have paragraph 2. You talk about the story in general. Then you get to the triggering event. That's it, triggering event. Then you have the background. Then you have the climax. Then you have a resolution. That is a beginning, middle, and end of a story, just like you would have a fairy tale. So the triggering event, say in Little Red Riding Hood, is she wants to go through the forest in order to walk through the forest as a shortcut so she could bring bread to her grandmother sooner. And then everyone told her, no, don't go through the forest, it's dangerous. Of course, she doesn't listen to everybody. She goes through the forest anyway. And so the moral of that story would be, you got to listen to your elders. If people tell you it's dangerous to go through a forest, well, you don't go through the forest. So the moral of the story would be that one sentence as the last sentence of the first paragraph. I'll go over this a little bit more later. And then you have your body paragraphs, and it gets more and more and more to the climax. So paragraph 4 is the climax, where she's being eaten by the wolf. And then the resolution is when some carpenter walks by and chops the wolf's head off. Okay, so basically triggering event, paragraph 2, climax is paragraph 3 and 4, and then resolution is your, if you want to do essay 1. So I call this the essay 1. That is with a moral. And then this one, essay 2, is if you're going to do essay A and B. If you're going to say, I became a nurse because anytime you write an essay, and both of these essays, you have to have an introduction, 3 body paragraphs, and you've got to have a conclusion. Always you have to have that structure for for an essay. Okay, this is not a regular story where we say once upon a time, blah 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 blah, and then they lived happily ever after. So I always recommend students to go back to the announcements, and I have a whole video on the difference between a narrative essay and a narrative story. If I just tell a narrative story, there's no thesis statement, there's no moral. I just tell you a story about my life. Did you know the most embarrassing thing about my life was when I blah 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 blah, and everybody would laugh. So it's just a fun story. Versus whenever you write an essay, there always has to be a thesis statement and then 3 body paragraphs that support the thesis statement. So that's how that's the difference between a story and an essay. And this students get confused a lot. And part of your grading rubric is you have to have a thesis statement with 3 supporting points, or you lose points. So that's how an essay is different than a story. So that's basically it for your week 2 assignment. Just do the worksheet, and the worksheet will give you the structure of your essay. And then I will also grade your outline and give you a better template, and then you follow that template for your week 4 rough draft assignment and for your week 4 forum. Okay, so that's all to come up. And so now, without further ado, and your week 3 forum, I'll go over it really quickly. This is fun. Basically, in the very first post, what you're going to do is you're going to describe a food. Don't tell me what it is. We're going to try to guess what your food is. So here is somebody's first post. People put tomato sauce and cheese on me. I am thin, round, and flat. I am made of bread dough. I am delicious to eat. I am thin. I come from Italy. The cook tosses me in the air to thin me out. They sell a lot of me in this store. I am the name of this store, Brooklyn Original blank, or Domino's blank, or Papa John's blank. What am I? And so in week 3, you're going to be doing descriptive language, in which you're going to appeal to all 5 senses to get us to try to guess what it is you are describing. So I will go over that a little bit more. The reason why I'm going over all of these assignments first is that by the time I finish going over the quiz, everyone's got Zoom fatigue and just want to go take the quiz. And everyone's too tired to want to listen to anything else. So that's why I put all of this stuff first. So that's pretty much it. And so that's week 1, 2, and 3. Those are the assignments for week 2 and 3. Does everyone follow? Yes? Yes? Okay, good. Now we're going to do week 3 quiz. So the week 3 quiz talks about more about parts of speech. You're going to learn more parts of speech. And so adjective versus adverb. So an adjective modifies a noun. So if I said that John is wearing a blue hat, blue would be the adjective that modifies the noun hat. If I say noun, Robert is fat, and so Robert is what kind of noun is he?
Robert.
Yeah, Robert is someone's name. So what kind of noun is that? It's not just a
proper noun.
It's a proper noun. Yes, someone's remembering from quiz 1. We got 3 kinds of nouns. Proper noun, which is Robert. If I say the man is fat, then that would just be a common noun. So you have 3 kinds of common noun, proper noun, and common noun. I think I said that twice. Pronoun. A verb is an action or a state. So if I say the dog chases the cat, then chases is the verb, action or state. An adverb modifies a verb. So if I say Robert runs slowly, any word that ends in ly is an adverb, because the adverb slowly then modifies how slow or how fast Robert is running. So you're always modifying the verb when you're doing an adverb. And so, and you can always tell something is an adverb because of the ly at the end of the word. Everybody got this so far?
Yes.
This is all review. So adverbs can be anywhere in the sentence. So you can say rapidly, Rodney drove his car. Or you can say Rodney rapidly drove his car. Or you can say Rodney drove his car rapidly. So that's the fun thing about an adverb, is it can be placed in the beginning, in the middle, and at the end of a sentence. Whereas when you have an adjective in English always comes before the noun for the most part. Unlike, say, French, where you would say, instead of saying this is a red house, in French you would say this is a house red, which makes perfect sense in French and Spanish, but in English it's usually, the only exception is if I say Robert is handsome, and then you have subject, be verb, and then an adjective. And so handsome would modify Robert. So every time you have Robert, be verb, adjective, subject, be verb, and adjective, that's the only time that the adjective will come after the subject. Okay, did I go too fast? So it's all written down here. I wrote this all down, I just said it really fast. So like I said here, John is a slow writer. So slow is an adjective that modifies the noun writer. Rodney is a fast driver. Fast is an adjective that modifies the noun driver. Exceptions to the rule, to this rule, is that if I say Rodney is smart, so here smart is an adjective that modifies Rodney. So you only have this construction if you have subject, be verb, and adjective. Do you want me to write that out? Subject, and then plus be verb plus adjective. That's the only exception. That's the only time the adjective comes before the noun. So here,
Professor H.
yes.
So you're saying that the adjective that comes before the noun, it's gonna always come right before the noun?
Yeah, always. You always say that he is a smart man. Smart is the adjective and it modifies the noun man. So if I say Clark is so that's the difference. So if I say the smart man walks down the street. In this sentence, then for the most part, your adjective smart would come before the noun man. So smart is the adjective, man is the noun. But if I say that the man is smart, that's the only time that the adjective comes after the noun, is when you have subject, which is the man, be verb, which is, and then adjective, which is smart. That's the difference. Everybody get that? Yeah, that's the only time it's so that adjectives cannot be smart. Rodney is a fast driver, or Rodney's smart is a. It's not like adverbs, where adverbs can be like rapidly. Rodney drove his car. Rodney rapidly drove his car. Rodney drove his car rapidly. Adverbs can appear anywhere in the sentence, but when we have an adjective, unless we have subject plus be verb plus adjective, your adjective always comes before the noun in English, unless you're Spanish, and then it comes after the noun. Okay, so for those of you who know Spanish, it's the other way around. Okay, so here, let's test you. The handsome, handsomely man dresses handsomely in a fancy suit. So for the first one, which one is it? Is it handsome or handsomely?
Handsome.
Handsome. Yep, the handsome man dresses which
Handsomely.
one? Handsomely in a fancy suit. Because here adverbs can come anywhere. Okay, so you did it right. I was paid handsome or handsomely for my job.
Handsomely.
Handsomely, yeah. Although I do hear some people use this word. So handsomely is an adverb that modifies how well I was paid. And so here you have an actual quiz question. Robert snored loudly. Is loudly an adjective or adverb?
Adverb.
Adverb. Any word that has ly is always an adverb. It's a dead giveaway. Okay, so that's how you know, because you have snored is the verb, and then loudly then modifies and describes how loudly he snores. You know, is he snoring softly or loudly? So therefore an adjective, because it modifies the verb. All right, so everybody good up to there? Now we're going into a different chapter. So object versus subject pronoun. So I mentioned this last week, where I say that a pronoun always has to agree with its antecedent. Remember I said that a pronoun is like he, she, we, they. So a subject pronoun always comes before the verb. An object pronoun like he, him, her comes after the verb. And so a noun so a pronoun is a noun that replaces another noun. And so an object pronoun is a pronoun used as an object. And so object pronouns are located after the verb. Us, him, her, them, me, you, it. John gave me money. John is the subject. Gave is the verb. Me is the object pronoun. And money is an indirect object. And so John gave me money, or he gave money to me. And so you have to be able to tell what is this? Is this a object pronoun or a subject pronoun? A subject pronoun would come before the verb. She is a great dancer. I, he, she, they, we, you, it. And so subject pronouns always come before the verb. I gave her all my money. So her is the object pronoun because it comes after the verb. And so you cannot say something like, me gave her all the money. Okay, that's not correct. You always have to say, before the verb, the pronoun always has to be I, he, she, they, we, you, it. And so if I say, my friend, that's not correct. My friend and me went to the party. Why is this incorrect? Why is that not? That's what I know a lot of people talk like this on social media. That's why you can't count on social media for good grammar, for one thing. So why do we not talk like this? What's wrong with me?
Me doesn't even sound right. It should be my friend and I went to the party.
Exactly. So my friend and I. Why is that correct? Why is that incorrect? Because me is an object pronoun, and therefore here, if I put me over here before the verb, it's not correct. So therefore it has to be changed to a subject pronoun, because subject pronoun is the subject of the sentence. That's why it's called a subject pronoun. So therefore the correct sentence, I actually have to write this in, is my friend and I went to the party. And here's another example. She is a great dancer. So she is a subject pronoun that comes before is. I gave her all my money. Her is an object pronoun that comes after gave. And so here are more examples of the same thing. So she gave us money. Is us an object or a subject pronoun? Jasmine.
She.
Is it an object or is us? So I'm talking about just only us. Is us a object or subject pronoun? Which is it?
Subject.
No?
Object.
Object, because objects always come after the verb. Subject pronoun come before the verb. So if I want to say, is she, if I change this question to she, is she an object or subject pronoun?
She.
She.
A subject.
It's a subject pronoun because it comes before the verb. Exactly. And so us is an object pronoun. I also see people say, she gave we money. Us went to the party with Steve. Okay, what's wrong with these sentences? Although I don't really hear anyone talk like this, I do hear people talking like this. Okay, I do hear us went to the party. I remember learning this in second grade. I remember in a workbook, and my teacher made it a game. Does it even sound right? She would say to us, and we would all nod our heads, go, no, that sounds wrong. Half the class would get it that it's wrong. The other half would go, no, we think it sounds right. It was really funny. But we were only, how old were we? 8, so we didn't really know that much. So she gave we money, and why is this incorrect, Asia?
Yes.
So what would I put instead of we?
It should be she gave us money.
She gave us money. Yeah, this one is correct. So she gave us money because that is the object pronoun, and the object pronoun always comes after the verb. Now let's do something directly from our the apple spoiled due to the this is an actual quiz question. The apple spoiled due to the humid weather. What pronoun would replace apples? I shouldn't even put the answer there, but okay. So they, the answer is they. In other words, we would put the pronoun they because they is what kind of pronoun? Is it an object or subject pronoun? They. Coming before the verb.
Subject.
Subject, yes, because they then becomes a subject of the sentence. They spoiled due to the humid weather. So remember that pronouns replace nouns, and apples is the subject of the sentence, so it's replaced by a subject pronoun. John sent Jimmy on an errand. What pronoun would replace Jimmy? Would it be he or him?
Him.
Him. He sent him on an errand. So Jimmy comes after the verb. And so everybody gets subject and object pronouns?
Yes.
Okay. There's a whole chapter in your book about it. So if you want to read more about it, you can. I didn't write down what chapter in the book this is. Now, the next chapter in your grammar book talks about possessive pronouns. So possessive pronouns show that something belongs to somebody. And so his, hers, theirs, ours, yours, its, mine. My, his, her, their, yours, its. So you would say, this is my book, this is mine. And so mine then replaces, instead of saying this is my book, you would replace my book with mine. Instead of this is his book, this is his. This is your book, this is yours. Do you want me to write that out a little bit? This is his book, this is his. This is your book, this is yours. And so whenever you have his, hers, theirs, ours, yours, its, mine, it replaces my book or his book, your book, and it becomes yours, his, and mine. That's not what's hard about this, believe it or not. What's hard is this apostrophe S. People confuse this apostrophe S with contractions. So when we use apostrophe S, it's to show possession. John's neighbor is blind. The dog's tail, the dog's tail wagged, or the dog wagged its tail. The confusion comes around this word, its. Remember, when we do the conjugation, my, his, hers, your, their, his, hers, theirs, ours, yours, its. See, there's no apostrophe S when we have a possessive pronoun. And so people confuse its with its. So it's a nice day. Okay, that's something totally different. If I put an apostrophe S and suddenly it has the meaning of it is. So we don't want to say where is it the mistake? This is a common mistake that I see in a gazillion essays. The dog wagged its tail. Does that make any sense?
No.
No. So you got to remember, this is where people get confused, and then you have to do this, because then it becomes a possessive pronoun. Otherwise, if you put an apostrophe there, it becomes a contraction. It is. So that's why a lot of the quiz questions will quiz you on knowing the difference between its and its. So if I say, my car lost its rear license plate, which one is it? Is it the first one or the second one?
Second.
The second one. The book is yours. Is it the first one or the second one?
First.
The first one.
Yes.
Yes,
First.
because there's no such thing as your is. Okay, that doesn't even make sense. So the mayor said that the task of cutting the budget was not hers, or hers. Which one is correct? The first one. That's why you always have to remember this conjugation. And in this conjugation, there are no apostrophes. The only time we use apostrophes is if we want to say someone's name, John's. In other words, there's a noun there. Noun apostrophe S. So there has to be a noun there. But he is a nice man. He's a nice man. So here, he is stands for a contraction for he is. Another confusion is there and there. There is a pronoun used as a possessive. This car is theirs. And that's the same as this is their car. That's the same thing. Okay, this car is theirs, this is their car. So we're talking about John and Bob's car. Okay, it's their car. And then as opposed to there is a car in the garage. Is this a possessive? Is this a possessive pronoun?
No.
No. This actually tells you, this is something that tells you a place. Yeah, this tells you where something is. And so you cannot confuse. So if I were to say, their car is red, or if I were to say something like, there is a car in the garage, you can't say there is a car in the garage. You can't say there apostrophe S, a car in the garage. You have to say there is a car in the garage. So that's theirs. And then you have this car is theirs. I've seen this also. So it's there is. So this car is theirs. So whenever we have possessive pronoun, we don't have this kind of possessive pronoun. We don't have apostrophe S. So here is some more. He is, she is, it is, there is. And this becomes he's, she's, its, and theirs. Everybody clear on this?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. A demonstrative pronoun means that something is close, if the object is close to me. So I would say this book or that book. If the book is halfway across the room, I'm pointing, that book is boring, but this book that's near me is interesting. So this means that it's something near you and it's singular. That is something that's far from you and it's singular. Then if I have something like these books, these is the plural of this. So these books mean something that's near you. Those books are plural and something far away. So basically, if I were to say the plural of that equals those, and then the plural of this, what is the plural of this?
This.
Equals these, okay? So if I have many books near me, I would say these books are interesting. And if I have many books that are far away from me, those books on the library shelf are boring. So that's this, that, those, these. I should have put it this way. I should have put it as, so that it makes more sense. Hold on, this, and then like that. Yeah, that, because I did these, this, that, these, those. Yeah, that looks better. Anyway, so this there, do we say this their house is old? So we don't say this there. We would say this house is old. We don't say that their beer is stale. We would say that beer is stale. We don't say them shoes are smelly. We would say those shoes. Notice how the demonstrative pronouns come before the verb, okay? Just like with the subject pronouns, these demonstrative pronouns usually come before, at least in this sentence anyway, come before the verb. So anyway, them shoes are smelly. Them is not right because what kind of pronoun is them? We just did this. It's an object pronoun, and do object pronouns come before the verb or after the verb? After the verb, yes. So therefore, that's why you would say these shoes are smelly. You can say these shoes are smelly. Those shoes are smelly, or even they are smelly, because they is a subject pronoun which comes before the verb. So that's a pronoun, a subject pronoun that replaces shoes. So any of these, if you want to replace shoes, you can say these shoes, those shoes, or they. That's all correct. Is everybody clear on demonstrative pronouns? Demonstrative meaning you want to demonstrate. You want to point out something to someone. That's why you point out to someone if something is near you, or you point out, oh, something is far away. Hence, you're demonstrating something. That's one way to remember it. Everything clear on this? Good. Mm-hmm. Everybody's good. All right, a comparative. When we have a comparative, we're comparing only two things. So if I say John is smarter than Jan, Jan is taller than Steve. And so we always put in an AN. We don't put in, this is wrong. I see this. John is smarter than Jan. How many times I've had to correct this on everyone's, no, it's than. So whenever you're comparing two things, if the adjective is one syllable, we say smarter, taller, than. And then if it's more than one syllable, if it's like John is more intelligent than Jan. Intelligent, that's 4 syllables. So if you got more than one syllable, smart, that's 1 syllable. So here you have an adjective that has 4 syllables, then it becomes more intelligent than, or you could say John is less intelligent than Jan. So here you would have John is less taller or more. No, you wouldn't say that. So you would say John is smarter or John is taller, more intelligent, less intelligent than. That's only used if your adjective has more than 1 syllable. Everybody got that? Do you need more? Okay, so we don't ever say Jack is more better at math. That doesn't exist. More better doesn't exist. So there's no such formation as more better. I've had ESL students ask me why, because if English is not your first language, you always want to know a reason so that you can understand it and remember the grammar rule. But for native speakers, most native speakers can instinctively feel that just doesn't sound right, but they don't know why it doesn't sound right, you see. But yeah, there's no more better. Instead, you just say, Jack is better at math than Steve. Remember the rule. If the adjective has more than one syllable, we add more than and less than. But there's an exception to that rule with the word better. Okay, here you got 2 syllables, but you don't use the more than rule. Did I just say too much? Everybody okay with that so far? And so Jack is better at, and here we don't say Jack is less better at math than Steve. That's also, you would say Jack is not as good at math as Steve or something like that. And here is an actual quiz question. The strangest of the 2 pictures featured an owl with 3 eyes. So we're comparing 2 pictures. Which one would we use, ER or EST? We haven't done superlatives yet, so I should have put this later. So this is a trick question. Here, they're comparing 2 pictures. And so, yeah, so it becomes stranger. Because whenever we're using comparatives, we tend to say ER, okay? Smarter, taller, or whatever. And then when we're doing a superlative, superlatives mean that we're comparing more than 2 things. Therefore, suddenly we don't say ER, we don't say John is the smarter student in the class, we say John is the smartest student in the class. So EST means that you're comparing more than 2 things, and ER means you're only comparing 2 things. So that's the difference between a superlative, so in other words, there's 25 students in the class. Out of the 25 students, John is the smartest. So there we're comparing more than 2 people. If I'm just comparing 2 people, then I would use a comparative. John is smarter than ER, than Jan. And if I'm using a superlative, it jumps to EST. Jack is the dumbest student in the class. Eiffel Tower is the prettiest monument in the world. And then if you have more than 1 syllable, then you would say Jack is the least intelligent student in the school, or Robert is the most intelligent student in the school. So least intelligent, most intelligent. You don't even really need than anymore. So notice the difference between more intelligent than, in which we're doing 2 objects and comparing 2 things, and then most intelligent. So everything becomes EAST, everything becomes ST. That's one way of remembering a superlative, is when everything becomes ST. Least, prettiest, most, smartest. So that's when you compare more than 1 thing or a group of people. Everything good on that? I went through it very quickly. So here I'm going over something that we went over last time. An antecedent. What's an antecedent? Since I went over that last week. What's an antecedent? And what's a pronoun? What's that got to do with each other? So that was last week's quiz. This is a little bit of a review. What is an antecedent? I'm not going to explain it out. Donald, what's an antecedent? From the week 1 quiz. Do you remember your week 1 quiz? Anybody? What's an antecedent?
Is that something that comes after?
Yeah, an antecedent is like Jack antecedent. Jack is the antecedent is what's being replaced. And so an antecedent comes before the pronoun. So this is he replaces the antecedent Jack. If I say Janet will be she. So Janet is the antecedent, so that she replaces the antecedent Janet. So if I say Donald is the antecedent, and then he is listening to the lecture, and then Katina, she is the antecedent. So basically the person's name, or whatever's being replaced, is the antecedent. And so when you have an antecedent and a pronoun, they have to match. And so here, if the antecedent is a guy, it matches because of gender. If you have more than 1 people, then it matches because of number. And so the antecedent agrees with the pronoun in gender and number. Because on your quiz, it's going to say true or false. Pronouns and antecedents should agree in gender or number. Is that true or false?
True.
True, yeah. So basically, that's basically all you got to remember for that particular quiz question. Everybody got that so far? This is the last thing you have to remember before we do the quiz. So after a comparative, you have a subject pronoun. Ooh, then you're like, but wait a minute, how come the subject pronouns are coming after the verb? Well, that's the exception. Veli plays better piano than I. Now, in original English, okay, and get this, it's British English, I think. So Veli plays better, this is piano, than I do. That was the original sentence in British English. Then the Americans come along, and of course American English is so much full of slang, and so American English got away with the do. Americans tend to just say, plays better than I. Or actually Americans forget about that. Americans skip the I altogether and say me. Veli plays better than me, which is totally incorrect. And you have to understand that compared to British English, American English has so many more mistakes, okay? So when you have a comparative, you always use a subject pronoun at the very end. So you don't say Veli plays better piano than me, you have to say Veli plays better piano than I, because the verb do is understood. Americans just cut it out because it just didn't, it's kind of like a contraction, it just simply disappeared when people talk so fast. And the do is normally not said in American English. So if you want to say Jack plays worse golf than John and Jack, and then you would have to replace John and Jack with they. Okay, so John plays worse golf than they do. Who's they? John and Jack. Jack plays worse golf than they. So we don't say Jack plays worse golf than them. So this is the one time that the object pronoun does not come after the verb. Okay, when you have a comparison, you have the subject pronoun that comes after the verb. Is that clear?
Mm-hmm.
So if I say that John eats more than I, or John eats more than me, which is correct?
I.
I.
Yes, John eats more than I. You can even feel, if you're a native speaker, you can feel that, wait a minute, that sounds better than the other one, right? You feel like that's how you write, whereas the other one is how you talk. If you're a native speaker, you can hear that difference. So knowing good grammar rules then reinforces why you feel that sounds right. Now you know why. And so here is an actual quiz question. Let me put this further up. Your piano performance proved you practiced more than they did. Is the pronoun in this sentence a subject or object pronoun? What?
I'm reading the sentence.
Oh, you're reading the sentence. Oh, okay. So is it A or B? Which I wrote it out, so it's pretty easy to tell which is which. So we'd say they. We don't say them.
A.
It's A, yeah, because subject pronoun, because it comes before this verb. The subject pronoun comes before the did, and it comes before the do that nobody ever says anymore. That's what gets so confusing. No one actually says the do anymore. Everyone says it like this: Jack plays worse golf than they. And then, of course, that causes confusion. But in proper English, you're supposed to say Jack plays worse golf than they do. And then this they is then a subject pronoun. So basically the rule is after a comparative, you have a subject pronoun. So that's the new grammar rule you get to learn for this quiz. And so that's now we're doing the practice quiz. So if you can get 100% on your practice quiz like we did last week, then you're ready to take the actual quiz. So here you would say, your piano performance proved that you practice more than they. Is the pronoun in this sentence a object or subject pronoun? Nope, it's a subject pronoun. Remember I just said that whenever after a comparative you have it. So that's a subject pronoun. So here's another one. We could not have asked for blank teacher in math. Which adjective or adverb completes the sentence? A or B?
Better, A.
A, because there's no more better, so that's an easy one. Which of the following is true about pronoun and antecedent agreement? Asia.
Hold on. You said number three, right?
We're doing number 3, correct.
Pronouns and antecedents should agree in gender and or number.
Exactly, yes, excellent. Donald, William took his classes very blank and studied several hours a day. Which adjective or adverb completes the sentence? Is it serious or seriously? You're going to have to unmute yourself. Okay, Jasmine, which one is it?
Or number 4, right?
Yep.
Seriously.
Seriously, yeah. You could tell because it has the adverb very, okay? So very seriously. You don't say, although a lot of people do say very serious. That's a very common mistake because here you have it, whenever you have serious, you would have to say serious student, or William took his serious class very seriously. You can say that, okay? Anyway, the clothes that Laura gave my sister and me were too small. Is the pronoun in this sentence an object pronoun or a subject pronoun? Chantal. First you have to find where the subject, which word in this sentence is a subject or object pronoun?
I'm going to say object.
Excellent. So you were aiming at the word me. So me comes after the verb, it's a pronoun, and therefore it is an object pronoun. Excellent. Okay, so do we say them 2 movies or those 2 movies? Katina.
Oh, Lord. Let me see.
Anybody want to help her?
Oh.
Those 2, yes, those 2
TV.
movies. Why is it those 2 movies? Why is those the correct answer?
Right.
Yeah, because it's a demonstrative pronoun. Demonstrative
Right.
pronouns are always come before the verb for the most part. And also, them does not go at the beginning of a sentence. That's how you can eliminate it right away. We don't say them 2 movies. We always say about them. In other words, it would be right over here would be the object pronoun. As the little boy blank snuggled the tiny kitten, the kitten purred. Which adjective or adverb completes the sentence? Is it gentle or gently?
Gently.
Gently, excellent, yes. Because here gently can go, adverbs can go anywhere. You can say gently, the little boy snuggled the kitten. The little boy snuggled the kitten gently. Or you can say the little boy gently snuggled the tiny kitten. So that's the thing about adverbs, it can go anywhere. Whereas if you want to say gentle, you would say, as the gentle little boy snuggled the tiny kitten, the kitten purred. So when you have an adjective, it always has to go over here. So if my blank was over here, then it would be gentle. In other words, before the modifying the noun. Did everybody get that? Yeah? Yeah, okay. Tara told, here, okay, it's either A or B, it's this one. Tara told most clever or more clever jokes I've ever heard. Which adjective or adverb completes the sentence?
Most clever.
Most clever, excellent. Yeah, most clever, because here you have a superlative. In other words, out of all the jokes I've ever heard, and obviously I know you've heard more than just 2 jokes in your life, right? So more clever would be John is more clever than Jan. So we always use more than for a comparative when comparing 2 things, and everything ST, most clever, any ST, best, most, least, all of that is when we have a superlative more than 2 things. Jack entered the blank dog in an obedience contest. So do we say that dog is in an obedience contest, or do we say that their dog is in an obedience contest? Which one is correct, A or B?
A.
A. Yeah, that dog. We don't say that their dog, which there are parts of the country they do talk like that. Which part of speech is there? Is it a noun, adjective, or pronoun? Anybody?
Pronoun.
It's a pronoun. Excellent. Because a noun is a person, place, or thing. An adjective is like blue or red or white. It modifies a noun. And a pronoun can be possessive. A pronoun can then replace another noun. Okay, so you got that. He knocked on the door. What part of speech is the underlined term in this sentence? Is it an A, B, or C?
A.
It is A, yes. Even though technically a pronoun is a noun, but here a pronoun replaces another noun. So A is a better answer than B, okay? So anyway, so everyone get that?
Yeah.
All right. Leave them keys out on the coffee table, or leave those keys out on the coffee table. What is the correct demonstrative pronoun for this sentence? A or B? Those. Okay. Are those seats A, theirs, or theirs? Is it A, B, or C?
B. That.
Wow, I got a whole bunch. So I'll just, Hassan, which one is it? A, B, or C?
Are those seats?
Yeah, are those seats?
C.
Nope.
Right.
There's
No,
no
no,
such.
no,
There's no such.
B.
Yes, that's correct. It is B. Remember?
I didn't see the apostrophe after that. I looked up with something else.
So yeah, it's like, so remember the rest of them is his, hers,
Right.
yours, mine, its, I forgot, and theirs. I hope I didn't forget any of the other possessive pronouns. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah. So do we say them two movies? Didn't I do this already? Are about life in early New England? Oh, okay. So it's
Yeah.
we did this already. So this should be easy. A or B?
Those.
Yeah, okay, so for some reason that one, anyway, whatever. I discovered that my car had somehow lost its rear license plate. What is the correct possessive pronoun for this sentence?
B.
B, correct. The apple spoiled due to humidity. What pronoun would best replace the noun apples? A, B, or C?
B.
A.
Right.
A, yeah, A. A because it comes before the verb.
Oh.
And so here it's a subject pronoun, okay? Although you could say their apple spoiled, but we want to replace the noun apple, so that's what it is. What is the correct demonstrative pronoun for this sentence? This here map is out of date, or this map is out of date?
B.
B. Okay. Oh, that's cute. Some kids learning it too, huh? Okay. The stranger of the two pictures featured an owl with 3 eyes. Which is the correct answer? Strangest or stranger? Stranger, because we're talking about 2 different pictures. So do you feel like you want to do this again, or you know it and you're going to go take the quiz and you're going to conquer it? You can also. You want to do it again? No? Yes? Okay, I'm gonna take that to mean no, right? You know it. You've got this, and you don't need me to go over it again, right? Okay, all right. So that means
Some of them.
some of them. Okay, so I will go over it. We'll go over it fast. Okay, so
Okay.
your piano performance proved that you practice more than they. Is this a subject or object pronoun? This is supposed to be fast.
Object.
Subject. They. Is they a subject or object pronoun? So remember, we're looking at they. That's the
Oh,
only
yeah,
the
yeah,
only
yeah.
pronoun in this entire sentence is they. So that means that they're talking about this one word. So that this particular question tests your ability to spot the pronoun in the sentence. So you got to be able to spot the pronoun, then identify, is it an object or subject pronoun. We could not have asked for A or B.
A.
A. 3. A, B, or C.
B.
B. William took his classes very A or B.
B.
B. The clothes that Laura gave my sister and me were too small. Once again, where is the pronoun in the sentence? First, you got to locate where is the pronoun. There's only one word in that entire sentence that's a pronoun. What is it?
Laura.
Me. So now
B.
you guys, all right, okay, so it's B. Okay, much faster. Is it A or B?
B.
B. As the everybody got that? Did I go too fast? Okay.
Which number are you on?
Number 6. Oh, okay. I should say the number. Okay. Don't worry. It reappears as number 14. As the little boy, A or B. Number 7. As the little boy, gentle or gently snuggled gently. Number 8. Tara told the most clever or more clever jokes I've ever heard.
Most clever. A.
You could read it out loud to yourself also. Jack entered, number 9, Jack entered that dog or their dog in an obedience contest. A or B? A. Number 10, which part of speech is there? Pronoun. Number 11, what part of speech is he? Pronoun. Number 12, what is leave them keys or leave those keys?
B.
Okay, are those seats theirs? Oh, number 13. Are those seats theirs, or theirs?
B.
B, because I wrote it out. We did number 14 already. I discovered that my car had lost its rear license plate. B. The apples spoiled due to the humidity. Is it they, their, or them? We're replacing apples. They. What is the correct demonstrative pronoun for this sentence? This map is out of date, or this here map is out of date? B. This is the last one. The stranger or the strangest of the two pictures featured an owl with 3 eyes. A or B? B, because we got 2 pictures. Here is more practice if you wanted to go over that. Do you want to go over more practice? Some of these are on the quiz, some of these are not. I just made extra practice for people who want to practice, let's say after the lecture's over, and some people wanted more. So that's why in previous classes, the students said, yeah, can we have more? So I created more. It's similar. Do you want to go over it now, or do you want to go over it by yourself? I take that to mean you want to go over it by yourself. All the correct answers, okay, are over here, okay? So answers to the practice quiz 3, which is the actual quiz, and then the practice of that, okay? So that means that you know all of this and you want to go over it by yourself. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll just do that. And then I'm going to go over the writing process. And so this week in week 2, we're doing pre-writing, okay? So there are 3 parts to the writing process. Pre-writing, where you come up with a topic and an outline and a thesis statement. That's stage 1 of writing process. Stage 2 is when you transform your outline into a 5-paragraph essay rough draft. Then post-writing or rewriting, same thing, is when you correct your essay. After you write your rough draft, then you correct the draft to make sure it's got the proper essay structure, no grammar mistakes, and also, so you can use Grammarly or Quillbot for if you want to use some, AI to help you with your assignment. So this is an example of how many of you have already done your narrative essay. I mean your outline. Have you done your outline already? So this is an example of pre-writing. So right now in week 2 we're doing pre-writing. In week 4 we're going to be doing writing. And then in week 6, we're going to hand in, it's going to be rewriting. And so basically your first essay, or your second essay, we'll do that also, is going to go through the 3 stages of the writing process. So your outline, since you're still at the very beginning, pre-writing is when you're just thinking about what am I going to write about? How am I going to write it? And what reasons am I going to use? And so that's what this outline worksheet is supposed to help you with creating the outline for your paper. And so when you have your thesis statement, you always have to have a sentence. Your thesis statement cannot be a question, okay? So here you have the topic I chose is never take somebody for granted. My working thesis, your thesis is usually a topic plus opinion plus reasons. So to avoid taking a loved one for granted, one should give that loved one love, time, and appreciation. Then love, time, and appreciation will become paragraph 2, love, paragraph 3, time, and paragraph 4, appreciation. So remember that your working thesis needs to have 3 reasons. And so that's for essay, that's for when you want to make a claim and back up those claims with reasons. If you're going to write another kind of narrative essay where you write a moral, your moral still has to have 3 reasons, okay? One never knows how long anyone will live. Therefore, one should never take a loved one for granted because, and then you would have your 3 reasons. So that's basically how you would list the 3 subpoints, and then the 3 subpoints will be your topic sentence. Love, time, appreciation. So paragraph 2 would be paragraph 4, paragraph 3, and paragraph 4. So that pretty much will sum up the topic sentences of your body paragraphs. And then this part, you just answer the question. So why did I choose this topic about not taking a loved one for granted? It's because right after I got this job in July of 2020. So when I wrote this outline, my mother had just passed away in March of 2020. So the very first time I taught this lesson, I remember I actually cried. But so why did you choose this topic? My mother died in March of 2020, and I learned the hard lesson that I had taken her for granted while she was alive. For instance, my mother would call me, and I would just say, I'm too busy. Why don't you call back another time, or something like that. Then, and she would call many times, and that's what I was always under deadline. And when she came to visit, in other words, I made my work more important than her. And then she died suddenly of COVID. It was so sudden. It was like 1 second she's there, and the next second she's not. And so I learned the hard lesson that, your work is not more important than the people. I mean, to you that might be, oh my God, she had to learn like that old in age, and go, yeah, I was that dumb. So how do you connect to the topic? Every day I wish I'd given my mother more of my time, shown more appreciation for her, show more of my love for her, instead of just going for that deadline. So that's how I connect to this topic. What do you want people to learn about this topic? I want everyone else to show their loved ones time, appreciation, and love, so you don't end up regretting wanting to spend more time with them while they're still, in other words, you don't regret not saying I love you. So the lesson that I learned is with family members, you never know if someone's going to get run over by a Mack truck or die of COVID. So you have to always show love after every time, even if it's just a phone call, and you make time. And so this was my free writing. So out of all of this, you have several choices for step 3. You can do free writing, you could do mapping, brainstorming, or questioning. So questioning is when you ask yourself, what do I want to learn about this topic? What can you do to show more time for your loved ones? Brainstorming, listing, and clustering is if I draw a circle. So you're going to go to insert. If you want to draw a circle, you go to insert, you go to smart art, and then you're going to go to, I believe it's either cycle or process. Oh yeah, okay, so I think it's this one. So you go to, did you see what I did? I went to, you can see my screen. So you go to insert, you go to smart art, then you go to cycle, and then you press on this one, okay? Then it's going to come up like this. Then you're going to write your thesis statement would be appreciate loved ones. That's misspelled, but okay. Appreciate loved ones. Then you put in your three, the love. How do you show your appreciation? Time, and I forgot what it was. What did I say? Support, maybe. I don't remember what I wrote. Anyway, love, time, and support. So this would be, this is known as mind mapping, okay? So you could go to, remember, insert, smart art, and then cycle, okay? That's how you bring this up. And then you can play with the colors, okay? I guess I could press on this, and you could play with the colors and get something other than just blue, all right? So if you go to your week 4 is going to be pre-writing also, so you could put this in for your pre-writing, okay? Your week 4, won't go too far ahead, sorry. So this is more about, this is in the wrong spot, isn't it? This is supposed to be under pre-writing. Okay, so that means I have to put this at the very end here. Yeah, so this would be part 3. Either you give me this, which would be mind mapping, or you would put your thesis statement in the center circle, because that's the most main important one, and then you put your reasons as your, so you can either do this, or you could do free writing. So I did free writing. So here, this is actually what happened. So the doctor took out my mother's ventilator tube. The doctor said to my father, "There's nothing more I can do for her. Say your piece. She will not last more than an hour without the ventilator." My father approached the bed and softly touched my mother's cheek. I had never seen my father look so devastated. I said to my mother, "I love you, and I'm sorry for all the times I was too busy to talk to you on the phone. Please forgive me, Mom." Her last words were, "I am so proud of you. I love you." She never finished her sentence as she slipped peacefully into God's arms. And here I would put my thesis statement. To avoid taking one's loved one for granted, one should give love, appreciation, and time to one's loved one while they are alive, because one never knows how long one's loved one has on earth. She actually went into the hospital. My father thought she just had a stomach flu, and she would be in and out in just 2 or 3 days. And then what happened was all her organs just simply failed all at the same time. She couldn't eat. She couldn't take down any food. She was throwing up, and then she couldn't breathe. That's when they put the ventilator. We didn't even know about COVID at the time, because this was early March of 2020, and it wouldn't be until 2 weeks later we realized that she died of COVID-19, that sort of thing. And so we didn't know. And my mother's funeral was the last one that they did before everything went digital. So I was lucky that I got to say goodbye to my mother while she was like next to her bed, as opposed to all my friends have to be outside with their video phones and say goodbye with the phone, which is not the same thing, which is what happened during COVID, as everybody knows, because a lot of you are nurses. So anyway, so the most common topics students wrote about was I became a nurse, dental hygienist, because reason 1, reason 2. You can have other topics, okay? But if you get stuck and you don't know what to write, and then you can use these are the most common reasons people wrote for why they want to become, in this case, a nurse, because previously I had a lot of nurses in my class. Other topics you can write about are a major turning point in my life was I started the Fortis program because the role model in my life is my mother, because my mother was loving, compassionate, and patient. Boy, was she patient. I became a whatever it is because 3 major life lessons in my life are blank, blank, and blank. So 3 major life lessons are, what are the 3 major? I learned to have empathy. I learned not to take people for granted. And I learned to value people over work. The happiest day of my life, going back to school, is important. The most embarrassing moment of my life was. Okay, so these are just a few. I think I listed a bunch more in your announcements and also in the announcements and in the forums. And so that's it. And I think I went over. This is just some more about week 3 forum. And then when you post to each other, after you post your original post, where you write down, I'm a pizza, I'm in an oven. What am I? And then you're gonna say, are you a hot dog? Are you a hamburger? Are you, in other words, you're gonna try to guess what other people's food posts are. Did I go too fast?
You said that's week 3, right?
Yeah, your week.
That's not this.
No. This week I did at the top. This week we're talking just about time management. Next week, week 3, we're going to do descriptive language. So here I said I have a warm crust. On my crust are tomato sauce, cheese, and many toppings such as pepperoni, anchovies, and meat. I come in many styles such as New York, Hawaiian, California. In Hawaii, they put pineapples on my crust. People love to eat me at football games, especially during the Super Bowl. I am quite popular and delicious. What food am I? And then you're going to say, are you a hot dog? Are you a hamburger? Actually, the answer was pizza. And then you're going to go, yes, that's correct. You guessed it. It's pizza. And then I get to say congratulations. So this is a fun game in which you practice descriptive writing. That's the whole purpose of this, is for everyone to learn how to practice descriptive writing and to appeal to your 5 senses. And so out of all of the forums, my students tell me this is their favorite. And that's it. Another example, I am long and thin like a pencil. I am made of beef. I come between 2 buns. In New York, people put sauerkraut on me. In California, they put relish, mustard, and ketchup on me. Nathan's makes a delicious version of me. Oscar Mayer does too. People eat me when they go to baseball games. I do not bark. I am much more popular than the McDonald's Quarter Pounder. Some call me junk food. What food am I? Obviously, I'm not going to say pizza again. Then you're going to ask, is it a hamburger? Is it a hot dog? So you can guess which one is it. So which one is it? Is it a hamburger or hot dog? I am long, hot dog. I'm long and thin like a pencil. Yeah. So basically, that's it. And so that's it for. Then I'm going to have you read the rest of this. Just talks about the parts of an introduction. You have the hook, the 5 background sentences, and the thesis. So your thesis statement is always the last sentence of the first paragraph. And this is called a funnel introduction paragraph, which I didn't have written here. Then your conclusion paragraph starts out with your thesis statement first. Then you have a summary of your paper. Then you have the final recommendation. And the reason why we have an upside down triangle is you start out very general, and then your thesis statement becomes very specific. And then in your conclusion, you start out very specific and you end up very general. So then your introduction is like an upside down triangle, a funnel, and then here your conclusion is like the opposite. It's like a triangle. So you can picture it that way. And then all of this is just what are the parts of a body paragraph in which you have a topic sentence, supporting sentence, and concluding sentence. And your conclusion, where you restate the thesis and you put in your conclusion. And that's it for week 2, for the week 2. So this time I didn't have technical difficulties. I learned my lesson that, okay, every week I'm simply going to ask, do you see what I see? And that sort of thing. And then I got to close out everything. So if you're going to do a Zoom lecture, you got to close out all your files on your computer. Then you can present. But anyway, do you have any questions about anything?
Yes.
The worksheet
that you told us to download, that's due today or Sunday?
That's due Sunday. That's due Sunday.
Okay.
So your worksheet is due Sunday, and your
Is that going to be part of the outline, or you have to write
the worksheet is the outline.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the essay, actual essay, narrative essay is Sunday.
Yeah, the worksheet is the outline. So the whole thing is just the worksheet, and then later you're going to write the actual essay. When you transform the worksheet into a 5 paragraph, that's week 4. Week 4 is when you're going to write out the paragraphs. But week 2, all you're doing is writing just the worksheet. Correct.
I was getting ready to be writing a whole essay.
And then in week 4, everybody's going to show off what they wrote. In other words, I'm going to look at it, you're going to look at it, and all that kind of stuff. It's called peer review. It's fun. So any other questions?
Where do I find the quiz for this week?
Oh, you just go to modules and scroll down, and everything is there.
And then
you
to
just
upload, can I do the PDF and upload what I already brainstormed, or do you want me to do it through the website?
Oh, you just upload the assignment through the website. Just go to submit, and then it's going to ask you for it's going to ask you to upload something to browse your computer for a file, and then you press submit, and then after you upload it, it goes into your into the online. So yeah, you got to send it to the classroom for me to grade it.
Right.
Right.
So was that the question?
No,
I want.
Oh, I can't hear you. What happened?
You told us
to go to insert and smart art insightful.
Oh yeah, that's for if you want to draw one of those one of those mind maps. If you want to draw the circle, and if you want to, that you get to choose. You either do the free writing, or you could do the mind map. I was only showing you that so in case you wanted to draw the do the circle thing. That's how you would do it if you want to do it from inside. Microsoft Word has the ability to create those kind of charts. Is that clear? Okay, so it's up to you. If you want, you could just free write it. Then you don't have to remember how to do that. So that's a choice. Either you do the mind map or you do the free writing. Either way.
All right, and then you said the quizzes and the module?
Yes, so once you click on modules, scroll down, and then you're going to see week 1, week 2, week 3, and then within each week 1 or week 2, then you're going to keep scrolling down, you're going to see week 3, and then at the very end, after the week 3 forum, you should see the quiz. Everything, if you click on modules, scroll down, all 12 weeks will appear.
I thought the quiz was due this week, so that's due next week.
That's due next week, yes, correct. That's why it's a week 3 quiz, And this week, all you have to do.
I was getting confused. All right, okay.
This week, all you have to do is the week 2 forum, and then the week 2 outline.
Okay.
Correct. That's it.
All right.
Okay.
Any other questions?
No, that's
it for me.
Okay. All right. So I will end this recording right here.